Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today, and I'm going to need a moment here to compose myself before I repeat the name of today's captain. This is Rainbow Glitter Farts. Yes, really. Can we all just take a moment to bask in the glory of that username, Rainbow Glitter Farts? Good man. And he is sailing the French Tier 8 non-premium battleship. This is a regular tech tree ship, the Richelieu, or as I like to call it, the Richie Lulu, because mispronouncing the names of things is one guaranteed way to annoy the French. Don't worry, it's perfectly fine. I'm allowed to do that because I'm English. It's traditional. The French understand, and they give as good as they get, and that's absolutely fine. So, Rainbow Glitter Farts in the Richie Lulu, French Tier 8 battleship. I don't like this ship, not because it's French. I think this is a bad ship. Go on, prove me wrong. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people in the comments falling over themselves to do just that. The ship does have a few good things going for it. I mean, it's very fast. It has a base top speed of 30.4 knots, more with the speed flag, and of course it also comes with the French engine boost. Sadly, not the 20% engine boost that French Tier 8, 9 and 10 cruisers get, or the 15% engine boost that the Bourgogne gets at Tier 10. It's just the bog standard 8% engine boost, but still, that extra 8%, which lasts a full 3 minutes, will push this ship up to nearly 35 knots, which is ridiculously quick for a battleship, so there's that. Also, the 8 15-inch guns have exceptionally good firing range, able to shoot at targets up to 25.3 kilometers away. Note that I didn't say hit targets at 25.3 kilometers away, because this is my major problem with the Richelieu. The horrible accuracy of the guns. Although apparently, if like Rainbow Glitter Farts here, you are prepared to sacrifice a sufficient amount of chickens to the ghost of Charles de Gaulle's mistress, you are able to score citadels and a broadside of Margies at ranges of around about 15 kilometers. As we can see. Yep, fairly typical. I'm sitting here complaining about the inaccuracy of the Richelieu's guns, and then Rainbow Glitter Farts goes and does that. But hey, it was only 15 kilometers, which is medium range for a battleship with guns like this. There are other bad things about the guns though. The shells have very high penetration. Now, you are in all likelihood sitting there thinking, well, why is that a bad thing? And generally it isn't if you're shooting at other battleships. But if you're shooting at other cruisers, what tends to happen is your shells just overpenetrate and only do 10% damage, which is annoying. Also, the guns have a 30-second reload. Perhaps you're sitting there thinking, and so do most other battleships. Well, not really. Most other battleships at this tier have 16-inch guns and a 30-second reload. The other battleships at Tier 8 that have 15-inch guns tend to have 26-second reloads. And the Richelieu is stuck with a 30-second reload. And it has less guns. And they're horribly inaccurate. Let's talk about the armour. It's a Tier 8 battleship, and so it has 32mm bow and stern plating, which means you need an 18-inch gun or higher, so basically Yamato and Musashi, or better, in order to overmatch the bows. And because all of the guns are mounted in 2 quad turrets at the front in a super firing configuration, it means that when you're fighting 16-inch gun-armed battleships, you can bow tank very effectively in this ship against armour-piercing shells. The problem is that most of the rest of the plating is also 32mm. So if cruisers, or anything armed with 150mm or higher high explosive shells takes an interest in you, you are going to burn and take a lot of high explosive damage. Now, to be fair, this isn't the Richelieu's problem alone. A lot of American battleships around this tier also have 32mm of deck plating and also eat a lot of high explosive damage, but it is a problem that the Richelieu suffers from. Now let's talk about those turrets, because we're about to see the Richelieu demonstrating how tough it can be when bow tanking against a 16-inch gun-armed battleship in the shape of the USS North Carolina over there. What the North Carolina needs to be doing here And it does have pretty accurate guns, and the range isn't fantastic, so it should easily be able to do this, is just aim for the Rishi-Lulu's gun turrets, because 16-inch armor piercing is easily capable of incapacitating the Richelieu's turrets. And when this ship loses one turret, it's lost half of its firepower. Guaranteed method of making somebody swear in French if they're in the Richelieu and they're bow tanking, just knock their turrets out. It is not difficult to do. Of course, with his 15-inch armor-piercing shells, there isn't a huge amount that Rainbow Glitter Farts can do to the captain of the North Carolina over there, other than shoot for the superstructure. However, he's not alone. Somebody's peppering the North Carolina with semi-armor-piercing, and he also ate a torpedo. And the American captain does appear to realise just how badly outmatched he is here, and he's pulling back very, very slowly. Did I see a plume of steam coming out of his funnel there? Is he flooding? Not sure. He's probably not going to survive this encounter. But they need to kill him quick. Because while Rainbow Glitter Farts is sitting here nickel and diming the North Carolina to a very slow and painful death, his team have just lost 3 cruisers. So if they could hurry up and finish off that North Carolina, that would be the team's first kill. Maybe the carrier's going to finish him. Let's see the dive bombers going in. Nope. Right. The cap situation isn't looking fantastic either. The team have Bravo, the enemy team have Charlie. The team are trying to flip Delta, but they keep getting reset. And they did have control of Alpha. Unfortunately, that's where they've just lost all of their cruisers. And the Gneisenau and the Queen Elizabeth are getting pushed heavily. Yep, there they go. They've just lost another ship. There goes a destroyer. And another one. There goes the Queen Elizabeth. That just leaves the Gneisenau. Fighting 6 against 1 over there in Alpha. Good luck with that. Oh, speaking of these 15-inch guns over-penetrating cruisers, broadside Chapayev, yep. Also, speaking of the vulnerability of 32mm plating, look at the damage he just sustained from the Chapayev's broadside and the salvo from the forward guns of the North Carolina right through his superstructure. He was basically on full health just a couple of seconds ago, and then he pushed forward, and now look at him. Down to half health, using a heal. Chapayev set a fire. He shoots again. Finally finds the Chapayev Citadel. But it's not the team's first kill. The heavily outnumbered Gneisenau just got rammed and sunk by the Zeiton, and he's very, very pissed off about it. The team's Bismarck finished off the Yamagi, and Rainbow Glitter Farts himself took out the Chapayev. Now, he does have the North Carolina and the Cleveland around the corner, and he is, of course, under air attack. And it is only a Tier 6 carrier, and he is a Tier 8 battleship with what is described as very strong, short and mid-range AA. But you can clearly see how effective his strong AA is. I mean, there's the carrier. I think shooting at the carrier here, rather than finishing off the North Carolina or potentially sinking the Cleveland, was a mistake. Because there's no way you're going to sink the carrier with these guns unless you get multiple citadels. But we'll have time to talk about the carrier in a moment. For now, he has wisely realised that the Cleveland is in fact the biggest threat. It's trying to get around the flank, and yes, I know the Cleveland doesn't have torpedoes, but it does have lots of 152mm guns, and if he's loaded the armour piercing at that kind of range, he can do serious amounts of damage. Here's where the Cleveland makes his mistake. He's still committed to trying to get the kill when he really should have rammed, because Rainbow Glitter Farts is not going to let him get away with that twice. He still took a huge amount of damage, because of course he did. He was fighting a Cleveland and a North Carolina at point blank range, but he's pulled back and suckered the North Carolina into coming out after him, trying to finish him off, and that gives him the opportunity to put the North Carolina down for his second kill. Now, down to 3,000 health, damage control on cooldown, but the heal is available. And while he's not getting his full value for money out of the heal, because he took a lot of armour-piercing damage there, better to recover whatever health he can, because the carrier is still in play. And yes, even though it is only a Tier 6 carrier, and he's in a Tier 8 battleship with strong, short and mid-range AA, and even though that guy is an utter potato... Yep, cruiser hull, 2 knots faster than the Richelieu, still running away from nothing and sailing towards the Richelieu, but you have to take his threat seriously. Because even though he is an utter potato, he's in an aircraft carrier, and it doesn't matter how allegedly strong your short and mid-range AA is, just by virtue of the fact that he's a potato in a carrier, you have to take him seriously, because he still does pose a significant threat. If he just manages to potato torpedoes from directly ahead, worst possible drop angle, misses with both, flies right through the AA, makes no difference, attacks again from the rear, worst possible drop angle. But if just one of them hits and causes a flood, even though the carrier has completely potatoed this attack, if that torpedo had caused a flood, Rainbow Glitter Farts would have sunk. Aircraft carriers, artificially inflating the stats of bad players since 2020. Honestly, it gives me the rage. Before you all go off on one in the comments, by the way, we should remember that just being bad at playing World of Warships does not make you a bad person. That's absolutely not the case. But what I am saying is that if a player who's managed to work their way up to Tier 9 still plays hundreds of battles at Tier 1 and can't do better than a 25% win rate in a Tier 1 cruiser, but if you put them in a Tier 6 aircraft carrier, they suddenly become a 43%er, which is still abysmally bad. And there could be any number of reasons for that. I mean, the player might be 6 years old for all we know. They could be disabled, and that's genuinely the best they can do. Regardless of what the truth of the matter is, the fact that you can double your win rate just by playing an aircraft carrier does kind of suggest that there's something fundamentally wrong with aircraft carriers. I'm just saying. So, after narrowly avoiding being taken out by what must be the worst World of Warships player I have seen this year, who may be a very nice person in reality, I don't know, but the fact remains that they are absolutely terrible at World of Warships, there is still everything to play for. The enemy team have a 1 kill advantage, they're nearly 200 points ahead, and they have 3 of the 4 caps. And that enemy Nürnberg, by the way, which, let me remind you, is a Tier 6 light cruiser in a Tier 8 battle, along with the enemy Mackinson, also a Tier 6, except a battle cruiser, those two guys are going to be the stars of the enemy team on this battle. Oh, also, minor spoiler, but I should probably say something in defence of the enemy carrier player. While he is absolutely, or possibly she, is absolutely going to get the worst score on the enemy team in this particular battle, they are not actually going to get the worst score overall in this battle. There is actually one player who's going to manage to do even worse than the carrier did. The carrier just had the extreme misfortune of our being able to witness him being a potato. Meanwhile, Rainbow Glitter Farts has finally managed to get the Richie Lulu into a position where, honestly, this is, even though I hate this ship, I do have to confess that it is pretty good at one thing. It's a fast flanking battleship. Unlike more heavily armoured battleships, it does not do well pushing the centre of the map, because it can get hammered by high explosive spam from every direction. It's got big high sides and an above water citadel, and it doesn't react well to being shot at in the broadside with armour piercing. But it does definitely have the speed and the range to be a significant threat if it can manage to work its way around the flanks like this. The issue, of course, is that if you work your way too far out on the flank, you won't be able to hit anything because of the horrible inaccuracy of these guns, unless you've done what Rainbow Glitter Farts has done and sacrificed a few chickens to the ghost of Charles de Gaulle's mistress. That, however, I must say, is one mighty suspicious looking smokescreen, although it's starting to dissipate. There's no destroyers. Oh, it must be the London. The London's the only thing left on the enemy team that actually has a smokescreen. He's doing the old pop the airstrike to see whose AA guns go off trick. If you're lucky, well, the London still being there might not be lucky, because the London has torpedoes. That's basically the entire enemy team. Once again, over-penetrating on cruisers. You gotta love these guns. And when I say love them, I mean absolutely hate them. Right, there's the London. So he's slowing and stopping here, and once again he's bow tanking. He's completely safe from anybody's torpedoes. This is a good move. The only thing I'd be worried about is HE spam, particularly heavy cruiser HE spam, which is obviously why he's going for and sinking the London first. Also, he had a better chance of actually getting a kill, because the London had the lowest health. Unfortunately, the enemy team, and it's the Mackinson, all the way up to the northeast there, has managed to pull another kill back, so they're still 1 kill ahead, and even more points ahead, because the Mackinson, a Tier 6 battlecruiser, managed to kill the North Carolina, a Tier 8 battleship. So a cruiser for a battleship, it's not a points neutral exchange, and it was a tier 8 battleship as well, so this is not great. Meanwhile, the Amalfi to the south has managed to flip Cap Circle Charlie, but even that's not good news, because the Colorado over there is busy flipping Cap Circle Delta. So again, a neutral exchange is the best that they're actually getting here, and they're going to have to do better than neutral because they're outnumbered and they're behind on points. Fortunately, Rainbow Glitter Farts now has something to shoot at where he's not guaranteed to have 100% over penetrations on. Instead, he only gets 50% over penetrations. I mean, really? 8 shots at a basically broadsiding Colorado at 6 kilometers, and only 6 of them hit, and 3 of those were over pens. Turning away and angling as the Colorado fires back, but honestly, if you can't take a joke, you should not be playing the Richelieu. He's starting to attract some attention from the Helena over there, high explosive, and I think some shots from the Nürnberg, again, also high explosive. He does have the opportunity to turn in here without eating a broadside from the Colorado, as the Colorado slipped behind the island over there. And he's going to want to do that to try to bout out the Colorado's 16-inch AP and also get that island up ahead between himself and whoever it is who's shooting at him from the left flank. The Amalfi is also getting in on the action here. The Amalfi's been doing pretty well in this game, I have to admit. Can he sink the Colorado? I think he deserves to. He can sink the Colorado, and there's the Kraken Unleashed. Right, he's got no heals. His damage control is available. And sure enough, just as I say that, the Nürnberg throws enough high explosive at him that he finally sets a fire. I know people are going to say that using the damage control there was a bad idea because he should have waited until he had a double fire. Because he's probably going to get a double fire because, well, the Nürnberg is shooting at him from across the map. The Helena is shooting at him with high explosive from over there. And even the Mackinson has given up chasing the Ranger and is now focusing him too. And yeah, normally, if you're in a battleship and you use a damage control on a single fire, it's a bad idea. But if that single fire is going to sink you because you've got so little health left, it's not necessarily a bad idea to use it. Either way, he's committed now. It's on cooldown. Any further fires are going to sink him. Oh, he's got the money shot on the Mackinson, flat broadside, barely 11 kilometers away. And he still gets 4 over pens. Oh, Richelieu, why you do this? And he's on fire. Oh, that's it. He's going to die. He's thinking about the Nürnberg, but the Ranger's going for him with rocket planes. And if the Helena up there has any sense, he'll just sit behind that island and wait for him to burn to death. But if he's greedy for the kill, 8 shots at a broadside light cruiser 5 kilometers away. 80% over pens. Oh, wait. Go gadget secondaries. He's set a fire. He's got him. It cost him his ship, of course, but he was doomed anyway, and the Helena would have survived if he hadn't been greedy for the kill. But the team are finally ahead on kills, and they have a cap advantage, because the Amalfi, who also sank the Nürnberg, sailed north and took Cap Circle Bravo, and that just leaves the Mackinson, who is still 200 points ahead with 1.5 minutes to go. However, this isn't really an example of the Mackinson trying to win harder because, well, he needs to sink the Ranger. Because you can't hide and run the clock down when there's still a carrier in play. Isn't it amazing how balanced aircraft carriers are? Even though the Ranger is a terrible carrier, I'm not saying the captain of the Ranger is a terrible carrier player, I'm just saying as carriers go, it's not a very good carrier. But the fact that the Ranger is still in play, which is why the Mackinson is desperately trying to sink him, because that's the only way he can go undetected. He needs to sink the Ranger and then continue steaming south out of range of the Amalfi's guns. But because the Ranger is still in play, and hammering the Mackinson with its dive bombers, the Mackinson cannot go undetected. So he's committed to this course of action. Having said that, if the Mackinson can stay alive for the next minute, he will win because he's got that points lead. But honestly, the fact that there is an aircraft carrier, regardless of how bad a carrier it may be, means that he's doomed. There's no way he's realistically going to be able to pull this off, which is a shame because that Mackinson has played his heart out in a tier 6 battlecruiser in a tier 8 game. But the Amalfi's about to get a firing angle on him. The torpedo bombers are going in. Yeah, there's no way he's going to be able to pull this off. which I suppose is fortunate for Rainbow Glittering Fart's team, because they need to kill him to win. If he survives, he wins. But he just got dropped by the Rangers torpedoes. There's more SAP coming in, and if this doesn't kill him, that torpedo will. Yep, and it was the torpedo. Well, my congratulations to Rainbow Glitter Farts, not just for having a truly awesome username, but also for doing as well as that. 6 kills, Kraken Unleashed, Confederate, in a truly awful French battleship. Also, congratulations are due to the captain of the Amalfi, who actually got a better score than Rainbow Glitter Farts. He played an astonishingly good game too. Commiserations, of course, to the Nürnberg and the Mackinson on the enemy team, who both got more than 1,000, actually more than 1,100 base XP on a loss, but sadly just weren't able to carry their team over the finish line at the end. And it's probably also worth pointing out that the comically bad aircraft carrier on the enemy team, who, while he did finish bottom of the team for experience earned, still got more experience on a loss than the captain of the Ernst Guider on Rainbow Glitter Farts team got for a win. That's pretty special. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I still maintain that the Richelieu is probably the worst battleship for its tier in the game, and I say that knowing that the Gneisenau exists. Right? Feel free to try to change my mind in the comments. Good luck with that. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.